Hey friends, so I'm so excited. My name's Ashley Nadine and I'm here with my best friend.
Ebony Nicole.
And we've been wanting to do this podcast for so long. I feel like our conversations on the phone, there's so much wisdom, there's so many gems, and more importantly, there's such an authentic realness to our friendship. And so I'm really praying and hoping that this blesses somebody out there. But we are just having no agendas today. We're going to totally just go for it and have like a normal conversation like we would on the phone.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yes, I know. This has been a long time coming.
I know, friend.
Okay, so I know we kind of had a general idea of just like how we're going to start, but we have no idea where this is going to go.
Right.
And I think that it's very interesting because I met you through your ex-husband.
Yes.
And you had a dream
Mm-hmm.
about me. Can you share the dream about?
Yes. Oh my God. So we're talking about this, really? Okay. So I had a dream that in the dream I had like a whole bunch of like wounds over me, like a whole bunch of like cuts. And you came in, I think it was like in the bathroom, and you had like pads, like kind of like alcohol pads, and you were putting them on my wounds.
Wow.
Yeah, and
like
this is
almost like
before,
clean or like helping like
almost
healing.
helping me like heal.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And
Oh
at
my
the time, I know I'm bringing this, so I didn't even know I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because that's basically true.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know, and I think about it now.
yeah, like so you're no longer with your ex-husband, but you have
Right.
beautiful children
Mm-hmm.
through that relationship.
Yeah,
But I thank him because God promises to work all things together for good.
right. I would have never met you.
I would have never met you.
And this crazy thing is, when I had that dream,
Yeah.
like we weren't even like, we had just met, I think maybe one or two times.
Right.
Like it wasn't like we were friends or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that one of the biggest aspects of our relationship is that we keep God first.
Mm-hmm.
And we really do truly pray for each other. We're like cheering
Yes.
each other on. Like
Yeah.
if you're winning, I'm winning. If you're down, I'm down. Like I
Yeah.
feel like we're just so in it together. And I feel like I prayed for so long for a friend like you. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And how long has this been? Oh, that's since 2009.
Man. Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been friends for a while. And the crazy thing is too, is that like, I always would want to have like girlfriends, like a group of girlfriends, like that I grew up with, went to school with, that I remained friends with, but I just didn't have that. And I prayed for that God would send me friends. And
Yeah.
so like, it's crazy to hear that you pray for that, because I did pray like, God, send me like good friends. Like I don't need to have the group of girlfriends that I think that I need to have and all these friends. Just send me like solid good friends.
Like quality over quantity.
Quality, yeah.
It's interesting you say that too, because I remember when I first gave my life to God, there was a lot of friends that I thought were friends until I met you. And then I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like I didn't even realize that true friends don't do those things that those other girls were doing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's so many women that are so catty, or they're like secret haters, or like they secretly don't want you winning. But I know with you and I, we're like, I literally cried when I found out you were going to be speaking on the same stage as Les Brown.
Yeah,
Like-
I know. You were like, what? It's such a big deal. And I was just like, okay. And you were just hyping it up like, no, girl, like this is a big deal. Like, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because
yeah, you were so
know-
excited.
I was. And I think that it's because I know you and I've seen how much you've been through in life. Like you have literally been through so much. Like it makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
You've been through so much.
Oh my gosh, please don't.
No, but it's true. You've been through so much. And like,
Yeah.
so I think to see you at this place where you're like self-loving and one of the things we're going to talk about is how I have gone to Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah.
And how I introduced that to you.
Yeah.
And now you just recently graduated from the 12-step program, the step study, they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you went to Celebrate Recovery. I think it was a few years before.
3.
Yeah, 3 years. And you told me about it and I was like, okay, that's great. And I supported you through that. And then I found myself 3 years later going through Celebrate Recovery. And I think it's just so awesome. I think when you mentioned too, just to having the friends that like, okay, yeah, you can find the friends that go out with you to the club, drink with you, party with you, but having the friends that will like pray, that will literally be on their face before God for you, that will fast for you. Like you fasted for me, like you stood in the gap for me, like you don't really get people that do that, you know,
Right.
for another person. So like selfishly, like do that for someone. And I mean, that is like, that's why I feel like this friendship is just so amazing. And so many people are like, I wish I had a friendship like that. But it's like, it's really a
It's so
blessing.
blessing.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because I remember one of my friends, Christina, she tagged us in a post and like me and you were worshiping together, and she was like friendship goals.
Oh, yeah.
And
Wow.
I'm thinking about that too. I'm like, we've ran like full blown conferences together, like
Yeah.
bringing people to God. And like,
Yeah.
I think it's so amazing to think that God, like when you truly let go and surrender your life to the Lord, how he can bless you more than you dare to dream or imagine, like even with your relationships,
Yes.
including friendships,
Yeah.
right? Letting go of the wrong type of people. But I think that your openness and like willingness to want to grow, to want to heal, and to say like, I think what happened is like you saw me changing through Celebrate Recovery.
Yes.
Because what I did is I started getting accountable.
Yeah.
I wasn't accountable before.
Yeah.
And I just like lived my life how I wanted to. And I didn't have any remorse or like, I just like that, like I literally, Mark, stop. Sorry, we're gonna have to cut that out. But I think that when you go through a program like Celebrate Recovery, it makes you have to grow up.
Yeah.
And it makes
Girl.
you, there's a step called amends.
Yes.
Right? Where you actually have to make amends to the people that you've caused harm to. And you have to you can't play the blame game and point fingers at that person and say, you did this, you did that, and that's why I did this. It's completely like what they call staying in the eye.
Yes.
Like, where's my part? What can I do? What did I do?
Yeah.
And granted, there are things in life that happen that it's not your fault and you're a complete victim.
Right.
However, how you respond to what happened to you is what we are responsible for.
Yeah. And I think too, so my favorite part of Celebrate Recovery was the inventory. So they have this thing where you have to do inventory, and you basically sit down and you take inventory of your life. And it's not just something you write in a day. Like we actually went on a trip like up in the mountains for like 2 days, and we could go on a hike or whatever and just write our inventory like of our life, to look back over our lives. And that was a moment where I realized like, dang girl, you have really been through some stuff. And I think a lot of times when we're going through things, we just like keep going. I know for me, like I never had a chance to mourn things or to grieve things or to be sad. It was like I had to keep going. I have kids. Like I can't be sad. I can't cry. But to really look back over my life and like, man, I've been through all this stuff and I'm still here. I'm still standing. Like I'm not in a straitjacket. Like
no, and
you know what I mean? Like
yeah, and I think through our friendship, I remember this one time I was like so devastated because you went through a mental breakdown.
Yes.
Because you didn't share your feelings. Because you didn't, and I'm the opposite. I'm like, I want to cry about everything. I want to share all of my feelings with you, and I want to talk about the whole everything, right? I'm so like extra in my feelings.
Yeah.
But I think we balance each other out because like you're more logical and I'm more emotional.
Yeah.
But I think that I watched you not ever share your feelings, and that led you to an emotional breakdown.
Yeah.
Nervous breakdown. And then I didn't hear from you like for like months, and I freaked out, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know if you were ever going to make it back from that.
Yeah. I remember like someone because, you know, I'm in Vegas, you're in Cali. Someone off of my Facebook reached out to me and was like, hey, like your best friend is trying to get in touch with you. Like she would just want to know if you're alive.
Yeah.
But I was like in such a bad place. It's like I couldn't reach out or even be there for anyone. And that's another thing that I appreciate about you is that like I was really closed off. I realized in our friendship, like I didn't tell you a lot of things that were going on. And some people will get mad at that and be like, oh my God, like you're not really my friend if you don't tell me like all your business. But you respected that, you know what I mean? And you didn't take it in a way like offensively.
Right.
Even when I did shut off and wasn't talking to you, it wasn't like, oh, like she's not even calling me, like I'm not gonna call her type of vibe. It was just like, what's going on? Like are you okay? And then we were able to come back. And everything was fine. You didn't take it personal. And sometimes people go through things in life. We can't pick up the phone. Like you're over here mad at someone like, oh my gosh, she's not calling me. She's ghosting me. You don't know what that person is going through.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. I think that, yeah, I mean, I'm so glad because now look at us on the other side of this where
Hmm.
you have gone into your healing journey as I
Yeah.
have too. And I think that the one thing about us both being in God and like believers in God, and then also strengthening our own personal walks with God in Celebrate Recovery has
Yeah.
bettered our relationship as like friendship wise.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
also seeing others people's blessed by us getting healed.
Yeah.
Your children, for example. My
Yes.
child, like now my daughter Layla's in Celebrate Recovery and she's gone through the,
Yeah.
like, you know, her own recovery journey and has found God. And it's
Yeah.
like amazing,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
definitely think like working on yourself, doing the work, it helps you, but it just blesses everyone around you. Like if you're a mom, you know, in your professional relationships, like do the work. We
Mhm.
so many times we're like, we want this and I want this and I want to be this person, but it's like you have to do that deep work.
Come
Like
on,
I know
talk
I
about
have
it.
issues. Like no one's perfect. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like we're not always the victim. Like
Yeah.
there's things in us that need to be worked out.
So good.
And it's like if you don't work those things out, you're always going to be hitting a wall. You're always going to be in the same cycles. You're
Yeah.
not going to grow. You're not going to become the woman or the man that you want to be. Like you have to do the deep, hard work. Celebrate Recovery was hard. I remember
Come on.
calling you sometimes and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I can do this. Like,
Yeah.
I remember being in the car, like, do I really want to get out of this car? And it was a commitment. My Celebrate Recovery was over a year. Every Saturday.
Yeah.
I missed one Saturday.
That is so, I'm so proud of you. That's
Okay. Like
amazing.
every Saturday going, and you would share the most deepest, dark parts of you and Celebrate Recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be so exhausted
Mm-hmm.
and just drained. Like, oh my God. I would get in the car sometimes and just be like, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Like I need to go home and like take a nap and process this. But it's like I was working on my junk.
Yeah. You
Like,
have to.
you know what I mean?
It's
And
not
I
easy.
never did that before. It's just
Mhm.
like covering up, covering up, covering up. And that's why I had the nervous breakdown
Mm-hmm.
because I was just putting a Band-Aid over things. I was just putting things under the rug.
Wow.
I was just letting things go. I never dealt with things. And I
Wow.
remember one time my therapist told me, she's like, do you realize that you talk about yourself like in the third person? She's like, the things you've gone through is as if it's not you.
Oh my gosh.
And I never realized that. She was like, you're the one who went through that. You're the one whose husband cheated on you. You're the one who experienced, like, you're talking as if it's like somebody else.
Whoa.
And
That's
I don't
like you're
know.
detached or
Yeah,
something.
I was literally detached. I
Yeah.
never cried. Like all the things that happened to me just didn't have any emotions. I was like, I can't. It was all like, I can't. I got to be strong for my kids. I don't have time to be sad. I don't have time to
Yeah.
cry. But it's like it built up to where I had the nervous breakdown. Like I literally could not even get out of the bed.
Yeah.
I couldn't even take care of my kids.
Jesus,
Like
I know.
everything just came to a halt. I was on all kind of medication.
Oh my gosh.
I was like a walking zombie.
Yeah.
Like I remember telling God, like, if this is what my life is going to be like, just take me out. I didn't have thoughts of suicide, but I was like, God, just let me like go in my sleep. Like it was really bad.
Jesus.
But like I remember God saying, like, you're gonna go through this. God told me, like, this is not gonna end in a week or 2 weeks.
Wow.
You're gonna go through this, but after this, like, it's gonna be different. And I for 3 months,
Wow.
I was like completely out of it. I don't even remember that time in my life. I don't remember anything about my kids. I don't remember how they got to school. I don't remember anything during that time.
Jesus.
I was just in the bed every night trying not to have like another anxiety attack.
Yeah.
But look,
I know exactly what you're talking about because I spent a whole year of my life where like I was living with our other bestie, Monica.
yeah.
And we were roommates and I would be in the hospital like every other day thinking I was going to die because I was having panic attacks and anxiety attacks because my life was so stressful.
Yeah.
And even though I was a believer, I didn't know how to handle that. And I think that's another thing about you and I is we're big advocates for therapy.
Yes.
We're both in therapy.
Yes.
We both have a therapist.
Yes,
We
therapy
both go
is
to
life.
Celebrate Recovery. It is. Therapy's life. And now it's like people go to the gym. We're like, I just had my session, girl. What did your, and we like
Right.
talk about like, what did your therapist say?
And we're
Old
trying to
people
get
problems.
everybody into therapy. It's
Yeah.
like, they'll be like, oh yeah, I don't really know what I want to eat today. You should go to therapy.
Yeah, right. It's good. That's so good.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much like, because we've both been through so much in life, like both of us.
Yeah.
I think for like, this is going to get raw, but I think you and I both have really like not picked really good men. Neither one of
Yeah.
us.
No.
But I think we're on a different path now because
Yeah.
this is before before we were the unhealed versions of us have picked like horrible men.
Girl, like what was I thinking?
What was I
I was
thinking?
insane. I say that I was going through a temporary like insanity for like the men that I picked.
Like we would have good guys and like not even pick them, and then like
Yeah.
have these horrible guys. Like there's this one guy, he was like a full-blown minister and he had this anointing on his life, and all these women are like crazy about him and everything, and like literally I let like his anointing and gifts fool me. Like
Wow.
but I didn't know him as a person.
Yeah.
And then once I got to know his character, I was like gonna be sleeping on a mattress like with a bulldog next to me. Like that is not my life that I want to live. Like, stop it. Like, why?
Oh my God.
But I'm just being real.
Yeah.
Like, those are the decisions and things that I think, first of all, it was immaturity and being naive, but it was also a very unhealed version of me that was attracted to like this person, right? Like it's like, oh, look at, he's on the stage and he's got this and that, and it's like, ew. Like when you get to know the real person,
he's on the stage, but he's sleeping on a mattress on the floor,
and he's got a million women and different girls in different areas.
I think that once you heal, you definitely choose better, and that's why healing. Like I'm such an advocate for healing therapy, because you just choose better in every aspect of your life. Like there's things that I dealt with.
Yeah. No,
you couldn't pay
me to go through that
to deal with it. Like I am not about to be in no struggle love. Like I am not about to do that.
Come on, Ev.
No, I've been there, done that. Like I'm just so much healed, and I know who I am, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do it again.
No, I feel. This is what I was saying. Like, who said being in your prime had to be in your 20s? Like. I'm not trying to be weird, but you experienced it even last night with me. Like, I don't know what it is, but I attract so many men right now. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, and I'm saying it in a way because I'm like, this has never happened to me before.
Yeah.
I've never had so many men attracted. Like, even in my 20s, like, it's more than in my 20s. And I'm, older. Like, I'm in my upper 30s, right?
Yeah.
So it's just really interesting that I feel like, why is this happening?
But it's a different quality.
That's the point.
Man, because
it's a different type.
I feel like men could be attracted to you. Okay, these men are attracted to me. They like me. They want to be with me. But like the quality of the man.
Yes.
And that's the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
it's guys
different.
who actually have their stuff together.
Yeah.
And aren't pretending to like be somebody that they're not.
Yeah.
That's the difference. I
think it's because you've healed. It's you going through therapy and healing. I see you're more confident. You carry yourself a different way. So you're going to attract that type of person. And I think another thing is too, I mean, since you brought up men relationships, is that we have to understand that like we want a certain type of man, but it's like, boo, you have to do the work on yourself.
Right.
Like you need to work on yourself, like mentally, like emotionally, financially, to do the work to attract that type of man. Like if you're not doing the work, like then you're gonna, you can attract a man. Like I can go out there and get any man but it's like, do I want that type of man? I want a man of quality, a man of value.
Right.
Like,
I love it.
You know what I mean? Like that's the type of man that I want. So you just attract different when you heal. That's why go to therapy, boo. Like heal from the inside, because you attract just different, even in professional relationships.
I agree. It reminds me of the verse like where God says like, to first love God with all your whole heart, mind, and soul and strength, but also to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And you can't love your neighbor until you love yourself.
Love yourself. Yeah.
You have to love yourself first.
Yes.
And until you do that, I don't think you can attract the right type of man if you don't love yourself first.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? It's by getting better, getting healed, going to therapy, showing up when it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Facing those childhood trauma wounds, facing the parent wounds that you have that are, and also a big one is realizing your triggers.
Yes.
Triggers are big. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even really realize like, okay, like what is a trigger? Like, because I think that like with me, it's like, I'm just like really, and I'm like in my 40s and I'm just now realizing, oh wait, I do have triggers. Like, what is this? Like, so I'm just like learning really honestly.
Right.
Like about like what it is and how my body reacts to certain things when people do certain things. Like, for instance, like, I really don't like to be around a whole bunch of people that are drinking. Like, that's a trigger for me.
Wow.
And like, I know a lot of people are like, you know, go out and they're like, you want to have a drink? And it's like, no, I don't, because it scares me because of what I dealt with in my marriage and, you know, my ex being an alcoholic and everything. Like, I get scared when people drink, or even when people are laughing and having fun. If it's too loud, it makes me really anxious. I get anxiety and I just like want to run and hide.
Wow.
But the thing is, like, a lot of people don't know that. So like when I go out and the people are like, oh, you want a drink or you want this? And they think I'm being like snooty or something. But it's like, no, I don't drink because it's a trigger for me.
You had a negative experience with alcohol and you're just, you don't see the benefit
and
of
I
it.
don't,
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think that's beautiful. And for me, it's so funny. It's like, because I've been cheated on so much. So like, for whatever reason, all of my exes cheated on me with blonde girls. Like every one of them back to back were like this blonde thing, right? So like before Celebrate Recovery, I would get triggered by blondes. It was the weirdest thing. And I didn't even know why. Like, I'd see a blonde girl and I'd be like, like there was something in me that just didn't, I don't know. It just like, it triggered me, right? It made me feel a certain way. And so I had to start bringing that up in therapy and recovery, and like realizing that response, first of all, it's not right.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many amazing, my like closest friends are, some of them are blondes now. Like, you know, there's so many amazing women that are blonde. It has nothing to do with them. It was a me thing and what I was going through and what I had experienced, you know, but that was one of mine for a long time. And I was like, I hate this because I felt like God had called me to women. And even like, you know, coming out of the strip clubs and all that, like, it's like, how am I supposed to be effective in ministry or like helping other women if I have that trigger?
Right. He called you to women, but he didn't call you to blondes.
That's wrong. That's so wrong. That's my point though. And so now it's like, oh my gosh, there's this really, really cute girl named Robin. She's like literally the prettiest blonde girl, and she's so bubbly and so cute, and I love hanging out with her. And I think to myself, oh my gosh, I can't imagine if I judged her based off of her hair color. Like, but that's the thing about recovery is like, you get real with yourself. Like, this is a me problem. This is not a her problem. This is a me problem.
Yeah. And you don't even know. Like, sometimes I hear other women that like have like jealousy towards women and they don't want to be friends with them, but it's something in you. Like, if you see a woman and you're like jealous of them, or you feel a certain way about them and you don't even know them, boo, something is wrong with you.
Right.
Like, it's not that woman. It's something that's wrong with you
inside
that you have to like work on. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. You can't have great friendships like we have with being jealous and, you know what I mean? Like, you have to like work on yourself. When I see women that say like, I'm not friends with women, or I don't have like women friends, like, that's a red flag for me. Like, bye. Because how do you not? Like, some of my best relationships, my great friends, you, Monica, are like, you guys are like my soulmates to me. Like, that's how like close like the friendship like is. So just to see a woman who doesn't have that, I actually feel sorry when women say that. But it's like, what happened? Right. Something happened for you to just have this disconnect and you don't like women and like,
we've both experienced that. Like, that's unfortunate because
like, not good friendships.
We've had women who have not been so happy for us, like, and like, we know who they are.
Yeah.
And then like, I've had women even who have secretly hated on me, try to shut doors on me. And now that there's certain things that God is doing in my life, now they're trying to come back around and be like, hey, we want you to speak at our event. And it's like, you know, that's interesting because you were the one that was trying to shut this door on me with other people.
I know.
Like, have you ever had something like that happen to you?
Yeah. I think that when people see you like elevating and they see you on a different level, and then they're like, that's when they like want to come back around. But it's like, I don't know. So you're way better than me because you forgive like so much, which I think is a beautiful thing. I forgive people too, but I'm not about to mess with you again.
Right.
But you're like, you've been like so forgiving that you let certain people back into your life.
I do.
And I just be like, girl, because
I do.
I wanted to fight them a month ago, the way they treated you. And here you go. Oh my God, we're friends again. We're going on lunch. And I'm just like,
Guilty.
girl, they was about to catch these hands. Right. And now You were up here
I
friends
love
with them
you.
again, so I'm like, okay, let
I
me
know.
just.
I just, it's so weird. I don't know what it is. Like, I just always see the good in people. I don't
Yeah,
know
you
what's
do.
wrong with me, but I think
I
that's
mean,
why I
it's
need you,
beautiful.
because I need discernment.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I think it's a beautiful thing. But it's just like the Lord says to forgive, you know, but it
yeah,
doesn't mean that you always have to bring those people back into your like
I
inner
receive it.
circle,
Yeah.
especially if people have like intentionally,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I've done things to friends. I just recently had to apologize to a friend
Mm-hmm.
because I just kind of stopped talking to her. Like I was going through some things and like I ghosted her. I cut her off. I
Yeah,
did. And
I
I had to
remember.
admit that that was wrong of me
Mm-hmm.
and I had to apologize. But that's different from someone who
Intentionally
intentionally
has that
does something
motive.
to hurt you. Like, girl, you intentionally did something to hurt me. Like I
Yeah.
just can't. I don't know. I have to find the scripture in the Bible that says like that I need to like bring them back into my life. But for now, I'm just like, I forgive you, but I'm not gonna like have you back into like my
Yeah.
close circle.
I will say this, and I receive that, and
Yeah.
totally I agree with you. However, there's one relationship, friendship, I think it's in their response. Because
Yeah.
I remember sitting down with a friend who had, in my opinion, done me really wrong, and she
Mhm.
actually felt the same way. And I didn't even realize that. I'm like, dang, like,
Yeah.
so she was looking at it like I hurt her, and then
Mhm.
I felt like she hurt me. And that's why it's so great to have like effective communication.
Yes.
But what I realized in that moment was like, dang, like she's just as hurt as I am. Right.
Mhm.
And so she might have a different perspective than me. But this was the difference, is that her response was like, I'm sorry too.
Yeah.
Like we both apologized. And I
Yeah.
think that was where, and now her and I have a great friendship. And so I think, like I
Yeah.
said, it's all in the response of like how someone's going to either receive or not receive
Yeah.
the way that you feel when you were hurt.
But you know, you helped me in that area. That's how I was able to apologize to my friend recently
Mm,
because I've seen you like
mm,
have these conversations, hard conversations with people,
right.
admit like you were wrong, apologize, and it
Mm.
helped me because look, I would be quick to cut somebody off and never talk to you ever again in
You really
life,
are.
and
Yeah.
it doesn't even bother me one bit.
I made the cut. I made the cut. You didn't
Right?
cut
But like
me
I
off.
really had to sit back and like, man, I felt like God was telling
Mhm.
me I need to like make amends to that's another
Right.
thing. Celebrate Recovery helped me to make amends.
Right.
But just seeing you like kind of like embrace people and talk to
Mhm.
them and like say, hey, like sit down and actually have an adult conversation.
Right.
It inspired me to have that hard conversation with that person. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me like, don't have any expectations, don't have
Don't.
any expectations, you know,
Yeah.
but you just need to like make it right. And I felt like me apologizing to them, even though I feel like I didn't do anything wrong,
Right. That part.
but it's so crazy because you're right, because even they were like, they felt like I hurt
You
them
still
too.
ghosted them. That's still wrong.
Yeah, and even
Yeah.
in the friendship, and I'm like, man, I never intended to make you feel that way,
Mhm.
and I felt horrible.
Wow.
After the conversation, remember,
Mhm.
like
You
the
called
next day,
me.
you were
Yeah.
like, "What's wrong with you?" And I wasn't telling you, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, I talked to so and so," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh," because I felt horrible.
Mhm.
So there's gonna be some times that you have
Mhm.
conversations, you try to make amends, and it's not gonna work out, y'all. But
Yeah.
I felt like God was telling me to do that because I
Yeah.
needed to like do that to get to the next level, to like,
Yes.
you know, he's doing like a new thing.
A
So it's like,
new
girl, you need to
thing.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. No. And to piggyback off of the amends thing. So the first amends that I made was one of my ex best friends,
mhm.
and she did not receive it. She did not receive it. And I was so heartbroken because it was
Yeah.
my first one that I did after
Yeah.
graduating from the 12-step program. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do my amends, you know? And so her letting me down actually set me up to not have expectations for when I did. For me, it was the most meaningful one, which you were with me when I did it, which was with my
with your
dad.
Yeah.
I sat my dad down, which took me,
Yeah.
gosh, I avoided it for like, I think 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I had been out of Celebrate Recovery for at least 2 years before I actually sat him down, which the program, they say it works if you work it.
Yeah.
And I knew that making amends to my own father was a big one that I needed to do, but I was so afraid to face it.
Yeah.
I was so afraid. And sometimes it's like those really hard conversations that need to be done, especially because you love that person so much. Like, and I think like I was so
Goodness.
grateful you came into town that day. And I was just hyping myself up. Like, I'm finally going to do it. I'm finally going to do it.
Yeah.
And then I sat my father down and I told him, before I even said anything to him.
Yeah.
He said, if you're going to apologize for anything, don't.
Yeah.
And I felt
remember
like,
you told me that.
yeah, like in that moment, I just was like, I felt like God's love,
Yeah.
like through my own father, my earthly father, because he was basically like, you've done nothing wrong in my eyes when I know that I have. It was
That's
so
like
powerful.
good. Yeah. And I remember like picking you up afterwards and you like just got in the car and you just like started crying. And I was like, oh my gosh. And even thinking about it now, I'm like,
because did you ever do yours with your dad?
No.
Oh,
That's
here we
why
go.
I'm like, I know I need to make
Wow.
amends with my dad. Even, yeah, I know that I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to be praying for that because I think it's like, I think that that even has released such a level of healing in myself.
Yeah.
Because I think we carry a lot of like guilt and shame and like things that we've done. And we just want our parents to be proud of us, you know, like I know like that's a big one. And your dad is a class act. Like he's like, him and my dad are very similar.
Yeah.
They're very like hardworking, old school values, integrity.
Yeah.
They've taught us like to be treated like princesses. Like we both are like super bougie, elegant. Like you will open my door. Like you will.
I know our dads taught us better. We were out here wilding for a minute. That's why I feel like I need to like definitely make amends because I know that a lot of things I've done in my life and decisions that I've made have made things difficult for my dad or even like maybe upset him. So it's like I need to like apologize. And I say thank you to my dad often. I'm like, Dad, I appreciate you. I love you. But I need to be like, no, I'm sorry for this. I know it affected your life in this way. Like, you know, even now, like through my divorce and everything, my dad has stepped up in a way. Like he retired, but he was a school teacher. So, well, no, he retired from the Hilton, but he also teaches school, but he loves teaching school. He doesn't even teach school anymore just so he can take care of my kids.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like
he's showed you sacrifice.
Big sacrifices that he's like made for me that like that altered the course of his life.
Yeah.
Because I made some dumb decision. You know what I mean? Because I decided
seriously.
to not listen or I decided to do things my own way. Which is so heavy. And I'm like, I need to let my dad know that like, I know I messed up. I know I was dumb. I know I did things that you didn't raise me to this way. You know what I mean? I just need to apologize and make the amends to him. So, oh my goodness.
I promise you, there's a beautiful like side to it, you know, because I walked through that and like, I think more than anything, I didn't realize that it was actually going to help myself. Like I was thinking like it was going to release my dad or something, but it was when you forgive or ask someone for forgiveness, it's actually not even about the other person as much as it is about your own heart. You know, I think there's a level of freedom that God gives you. Yeah. And it like almost like breaks these chains and like lets you out of a prison that you've put yourself in.
I know. Yeah. Because we just can put ourselves in such like a bad place, like mentally, like thinking about stuff. Because I even now sometimes ask my dad things like I feel scared to ask him. And I'm like, why do I feel like I'm like a 6-year-old kid, like asking my dad to do something, you know? But it's all because of, I know that I've done things and just did things that were just not pleasing, you know, to him or that let him down. And that was always been my biggest thing with my dad is just I don't want to disappoint him. Like my dad never had to physically like whoop me or if my dad said I'm disappointed in you, I would be bawling as a kid. And so now I'm just like, man, I wonder I don't want my daddy to be disappointed in me. And I'm like, I need to like let him know, like, I'm sorry.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We talked about so many good things. Like, I feel like we just, like, God totally took over because we brought up stuff, man, we didn't even expect to bring up.
I'm like, okay, girl, we're going here.
Yeah, we are. But that's what I love about us is, like, we don't have to ever hide, you know? And, like, you're crying a lot today, I see. I love it. Let's cry together.
Maybe it's, like, onions being cut in here or something.
It's not. I love you. No, it's going to be okay. And and I'm just so grateful for you. And I'm thankful to God that we're still in each other's lives. And even like last night was just so fun. Like just hanging out and enjoying Vegas because we've never been tourists and we lived here together for so long.
And we were just,
we had so much fun. Like just being, we're like, we're going to grow old together. Like,
I know, like you're my lifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We still need husbands though. So like, I'm just saying we need to like be able to travel together and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Cut. We're done.
All
That was
right.
it. Yeah, we're good. We're good. All right, give it outro. I did the intro, you did the outro.
Okay, what do I say for that outro?
Just say, hey guys, I hope you enjoyed, like, just
Okay,
something
yeah.
just genuine.
So, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed this conversation and that it sparked something in you to want to heal, to want to be better and do better, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you and for the people that you love. I don't know. What else? That's good?
Yeah. Okay, I'll say one too.
Okay.
All right. And you guys, I also hope that you find some amazing friends that totally love God and that are willing to support your journey with God, because friends are so important and they can really determine where God takes you next.